What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, your host, one of your hosts of the Real Fan Review. With me today, we got my brother B.
Konnichiwa.
Yes, konnichiwa, sir. We got our man in the chair, Al, with us.
How's it going, everybody?
Yes. And it's the three of us tonight. Sanj will hopefully be back next week and talk some more movie stuff with Sanj.
Mhm.
And this week, we're going to be going over some of the news items. Of course, the biggest deal of this week being WandaVision episode 4. We interrupt this program, which is going to be plenty to talk about on that. Some of the news this week, we got a Matrix 4 name possibly being leaked out there. We got Raya and the Last Dragon trailer coming out and Disney Plus. We'll talk about if it's worth it. We got an actual date for Snyder Cut. So we'll see what happens with that. And unfortunately, we'll start the news off with these leaks of WandaVision episode 5 and 6, which has just been terrible news. So let's get right into that first. And let's talk about why this always seems to happen, I guess, with anything that's popular and anything that's, mainstream. People who have information, they want to share it to seem like they're, in the know.
Yeah.
They know something that people don't know, or they want to I don't think it's necessarily they want to ruin it for everybody, but maybe they find some pleasure in ruining things. So, I know we went through this with Endgame and Infinity War, where people got access to the movie or they found out something. And I think all of us went on like no social media on that, like the week before before we saw Infinity War and Endgame to avoid all that. So just your thoughts on like what's going on here with WandaVision. I guess there's some big spoilers for episode 6 apparently that's being put out there that's actually real.
Oh, wow.
What's your thoughts, Al?
Well, I've been kind of like what you were saying. I've been staying away from anything that says WandaVision, unless it says 1 through 4. So
Right.
Basically, 'cause I don't want to know what's coming. I like the fun of guessing and seeing how much I was able to get right. And to your point, I think it's just people wanting to show that they have access or they know somebody, and this is how they can prove that they know somebody, and just bringing attention to themselves because, like, I don't know. I guess for some people, they get pleasure and there's fun in doing a spoiler. But to me, the fun is actually enjoying it when you're supposed to be enjoying it. So I don't know. I've been staying away. I know there's some scene with Vision that's like a side view, and apparently it's from the leak. So every time I see that image, I just swipe faster and scroll through it.
Oh, my goodness.
I don't want to know none of that.
Insane.
I don't want to know any of it. But I could see for some people the draw of being able to show off that they had access to that info.
Gotcha, man. And B, for myself, man, I mean, I've gone to the extent now that WandaVision comes out Friday at midnight in Pacific time. So that's 3 a.m. for us, 12 o'clock p.m. for people in California and that side of the country there.
Yeah.
So what I ended up doing now is in the morning when I wake up, I download the episode for the week that Friday morning. I don't go on YouTube. I don't go on Instagram. I don't go on anything. And on my lunch break, I eat my lunch quick. I go into my car and I watch the episode there. And then at night, I watch it again on my 4K. And then I go on YouTube. That way I can make sure I don't get anything ruined for me. Or if something crazy happens during lunch, I can look up real quick on YouTube. What does that mean or what happened there?
Yeah.
What extent do you go to, B, to avoid these rumors? And what's your thoughts on these leaks, like stuff like that?
I deleted social media. I don't have any more.
Yeah.
I don't want friends. They ruin things. I don't want to know nothing.
Oh my goodness. It's too funny.
And I agree to, it's so hard nowadays to avoid spoilers. No, like common decency doesn't exist anymore because just because you don't want to know something, apparently somebody else wants to know it and they're willing to tell you. I remember I was working in a school. I was in a private school, and Endgame came out early in China. And this is an international student that I was talking to, and I'm walking in the hallway, and I was talking to the kids because they're all hyped. You know, we're like, oh, we're gonna go see Endgame tonight. I'm talking to the kids. They're like 11 and 12. I'm like, yeah, let's go. We're gonna see Endgame tonight, right?
Yeah.
And this kid comes down the hall. He goes, it's okay. He's like, you know, Tony Stark dies, and I'm like, I said, what? He goes, he said, I said, shh. So unless you want to fail my class today, this don't happen. Like, don't say a word. He goes, why don't you want to know? I'm like, because I'm gonna see it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna see it tonight. I paid $30 to see it tonight. Don't do that.
Yeah,
he,
man.
He tried to play the renege card. He was like, he goes, I mean Captain America, and I was just like, don't do that.
Too late, bro. You already ruined it, bro.
I was like, you're gonna fail my course today.
It's crazy, man, because you do everything you can, and it's weird because even sometimes if you do go on YouTube, and you know, I don't go to those sites that do that where they put the spoilers up early, or they saw the movie early so they spoil it, and they put a non-spoiler or a spoiler review before you get to see the movie. I delete it because sometimes they'll even put a picture up of something that you're not supposed to see, so I delete those. But because I watch certain YouTube sites or certain movie sites, it suggests things for me, and some of those suggestions are, you know, the Den of Nerds or the, you know, comic book report, and they'll have those pictures on it. So it's just crazy. So even when you try to avoid it, you can't sometimes. But you know, we all do our best to avoid the social medias and stuff like that. You know, especially with something like that's as exciting right now, like WandaVision. You know, we have a lack of movies that are really coming out. We have a lack of quality movies coming out. Little things. It's just, you know, it's tough. So I know the how hard it is to stay away from those things, and sometimes it's unavoidable. But you know, we do our best, man. And then you know, I think go for it.
No, I was just gonna say, and I think that's probably what's adding a lot to it right now is the fact that there is so little of quality going on. That right now everybody's focusing on WandaVision. It's the MCU, so it's not like they have, you know, a couple of the shows out at the same time. No, they got one show out right now, so they know what everybody wants to know about. Yeah.
Absolutely, man. So that's it on the WandaVision leaks there. Just be careful out there for all our subscribers, our fans, or anyone that's watching. You know, I know you guys are looking forward to the MCU stuff just like we are. So be on the lookout. There are spoilers out there. So watch your social media feeds. Also this week, man, we got 2 bits of good news on some good movies that we like. We got finally a confirmed date there for Justice League Snyder Cut. We got Thursday, March 18th for the Snyder Cut. And Matrix 4 in kind of like rumored news, but it's kind of like somewhat official there. Looks like we have the title for the Matrix 4, and a little unsurprising, but still a good name. We got possibly Matrix Resurrection. So, I mean, both good things there. I know we're all looking for the Snyder Cut. You know, B, what's your thoughts on Snyder Cut having that release date and also that Matrix Resurrection?
With Snyder Cut, you know, it's interesting because it's a Thursday and not a Friday. And like, I'm so not used to things coming out on Thursday because it's been a long time since we had a movie come out in the movie theater, you know, and Thursdays are the opening night for us over here in New York. So like, it feels like we're heading back to opening night kind of a thing. Like, you know, like I got like an opening movie night again. So it's going to be interesting to be cool. Like I get to see it on a Thursday, you know, like, we could talk about it on Friday, you know, we could talk about it at night. And it was like a weird but cool little return to normalcy kind of a thing. So I'm really excited about that. For some reason, I had in my head that I knew it came out March 18th. And I was like, didn't we know this? I was like, I thought we knew this. No one else knew this. You know,
not yet.
Like,
not yet.
I was like, all right. And then with Matrix, you know, I was for a long time I was trying to figure out what R word they were gonna go with. So I feel like Resurrections was probably the best one.
Kind of explains why Neo's back already. Al, man, as a
Matrix rerun.
You know, as Matrix being one of your favorite movies of all time, man, what's your thoughts on the name Resurrection?
When I heard it, I liked it. You know, it goes with the pattern of the R title. You had Matrix Reloaded, Revolutions. So to have resurrections, it fits with the theme, it fits with the pattern. But lets you know basically what everybody was wondering is like, how does Neo come back? It's right in the name. So,
Yeah.
and that's if it stays, if that is truly the name. But I liked it as a name. I wasn't disappointed when I heard it.
Yeah, same here, man. And when I heard it, they found out because I guess the Wachowskis, they ended up sending some kind of like a jacket to one of the, I guess, the artists of the movie there, and in the
Yeah.
jacket it kind of thanked them and it said Matrix Resurrection movie. So that's how
Yeah.
come they're saying it's a rumor, but it's most likely what the name of the title is, and it also makes sense for
Yeah.
the movie. But yeah, man, I mean, it sounds good. When I saw it, the first thing I said was, "Oh, there goes Neo." Okay, I got it.
I
Resurrection.
thought it was gonna be Rebirth.
Yeah.
Rebirth is also another one. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. That was
But
good.
yeah, man, it's good stuff, man. I can't wait to see like a trailer for it. There should be one coming out within the next few months. I'm
Yeah.
hoping with next week's Super Bowl trailers, we'll see. You
Yeah.
know, Super
'Cause it
Bowl
got
trailers
put-
usually
Yeah,
go
because it
for it.
got pushed to April of 2022, right?
You know, I'm not sure. I mean,
Yeah, I
last I
think.
heard it was supposed to come out late. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think I was reading that it got pushed to April of next year. So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, because it was supposed to be like one of the last movies to come out this year in December, but it may have gotten pushed, to try to make money off of the theaters, hopefully being back to normal around that
Mhm.
time period. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. And then the last bit of news, guys, we're going to talk about today is that there was a trailer released last week for Raya and the Last Dragon. That's one of the movies from Disney that's going straight to Disney Plus with their premiere access, where you pay an extra $30 on top of your monthly subscription plan. And I wanted to get you guys, every time they do this trial thing with the $30, because we given up on Black Widow, even though there's rumors that it's still going to happen with Black Widow. But a movie like this where I saw the trailer and it was interesting. Nothing too crazy where I was like, "Oh, I need to see this," but something that I would wait for it not to be $30 to see. And I wondered if you guys felt the same way because you're already paying for the Disney Plus. You're getting things like WandaVision here. You got all the MCU in there, and then you have HBO Max putting out these movies. Are you guys willing to pay $30 to see Raya and the Last Dragon after what you saw in the trailer? You can go
I
first,
mean,
Al. Oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead, Al. So I mean, for me, I kind of I don't like it only because of the way they've used it in the past. Like, think about it. Mulan was supposed to be this huge movie. It was supposed to be incredible, and it was decent at best. And
Mhm.
I had to pay $30 to watch it, and it was just okay. It wasn't anything revolutionary. It wasn't a great retelling. It I don't want to knock the Lion King movie they made, but it kind of felt like on the same level where it's just like, all right, I could have lived without it. Like it was just okay.
Right.
So to pay $30 to see that, and then to get Soul for free, you know, I'm trying to say, what's the comparison here? Because Soul we got for free. Is it because it was Christmas? Like, was that my gift that I paid $30 for Mulan, so you gave this to me for free? So like, to tell me that I have to now pay $30 to see Raya and the Last Dragon, I'm now on the edge of saying, well, it looks good, and I'm interested in seeing it because of the animation style, the story looks great. But am I paying $30 now to see a movie that may not live up to that $30 charge?
Right.
And
Exactly.
Soul was free. I watched Soul and it was incredible and it was free. So
Mhm.
what am I paying $30 for if we can't compare the times in which they've sold something in which they've given us something? Because now I'm now comparing other streaming services and what they're giving me. Sorry, Disney, but I'm looking at HBO Max and now they're telling me I can get Godzilla because I pay for HBO Max. I'm getting Godzilla. I'm getting all the movie releases for the whole year on
Right.
HBO Max, and all I did was pay $14 a month. You know, it
Yeah.
just doesn't seem like the money is making sense. Like, it seems like they're pushing things and they want to try things, but I feel like the equivalency and the return isn't the same.
Yeah.
Gotcha, man. How about you, man? I mean, you saw the trailer also. Did it give
Yeah.
you that feeling like you want to spend that $30 on it?
Not really.
Yeah.
I'm glad Brandon said it because that's exactly what I was thinking when I heard that it was going to be that $30 charge. I thought they had gotten away with it. They did it with Mulan, and then they gave us Soul. So why are we going back to paying for another early release movie? What's the factor? Why was Soul free, but now you need the premium charge on this movie? When Soul was a good movie, it's not like you could look at Soul and we all were like, "Oh, I understand why they gave us that one free." No, Soul was a good movie. I could see a lot of
Yeah.
people having paid for Soul. So
Right.
why are you now giving us a movie that great? It looks good. I mean, from the preview, I definitely want to watch it. I definitely want to watch it with my daughter. But I don't understand why this one you would have to pay for and wait the 30 days or whatever that time window is to then see it for free on the service. So I'm curious. Like I'm wondering if there's maybe a rights issue. You know, did somebody with a ownership stake in the release of the movie not want it to be released this way? So it'd be interesting to see if there was something like that at play. Because otherwise, what are you rolling the dice and seeing which one you charge for and which one you don't? I don't understand.
Yeah. I hear you, man. Because I mean, I'm kind of thinking the same way you guys are thinking about the movies. If they had put Milan for free and then charged for Soul, I would have understood the charge in more. Because they have people who review these movies. They have people who are honest and tell them the truth about their movies that they're releasing out there and their thoughts on it and whether it's worth it or not. And I'm sure Mulan did not get reviewed that great. It wasn't that good at all. I mean, honestly, it was a little boring. It doesn't compare to the animated version of it. But when I watched Soul, I was just like, wow. I remember watching Soul the same weekend we saw Wonder Woman, and I left more impressed with Soul by far. So
Yeah.
I'm just saying I would have understood paying $30 for Soul, and I paid $30 for Soul, and then I see Raya and the Last Dragon. I would have thought to myself, oh, this must be something really good because they're charging $30 for it. Now I have no, I guess, value for their dollar, basically, kind of thing. If they're charging $30 for Milan and Soul for free, then Raya, no.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. And then like the fact that they won't do that with Black Widow also is just like,
Because I paid $30 for Black Widow.
I would pay $30 for Black Widow also, but they're not doing it, and then they're gonna charge $30 for Raya and the Last Dragon. Okay, definitely not getting my $30. So I'll wait the 3 months, Disney. So
it's just starting to hurt now. Like it's just like, what's the equivalency? Like, what am I getting out of this other than me giving you $30 to watch it once?
Right.
Like it just doesn't seem fair because you're not giving me a movie theater experience. I'm renting it for the one viewing for the sake of watching it with my family, but I watched Soul with my family. And then I can go to another streaming service and watch all these premium movies for the price of my subscription. I didn't have to pay anything else. Is Disney trying to sell? Is Disney trying to sell their value and saying, well, guess what? Yeah, you can go to HBO Max, but guess what? All the movies releasing on HBO this year are crap. That's why you're paying $30 for me. Well, I don't buy it because I bought Milan. Like
Milan ruined it.
Milan. I honestly, I feel like they tested the wrong movie with the $30 then.
Yeah, definitely, man. Absolutely. Yeah, man. So, I mean, that is the news of the week. So if you guys are listening on the podcasting apps there, just, email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com and let us know what your thoughts on whether you're going to pay for Raya and the Last Dragon or if you're going to wait for it to become free on the Disney Plus app there, or what's your thoughts on Matrix 4 being called Matrix Resurrection, and also those WandaVision leaks, man. Are you avoiding them? If you're on the YouTube there on the page, just go ahead and comment below. Let us know what you're thinking, and we'll respond back also. So now let's get into what people are here to see us talk about, which is the WandaVision episode 4. We interrupt this program. I wanted to, kind of ask you guys a question after we talk about WandaVision, which is, how do you know when something's awesome, or what tells you yourself before you tell anybody else, what tells you what you're watching is awesome? And I know for me what it is. I pause it and I just send Brandon and Al text messages with just their names. Brandon. And then it's just Brand, and the next text message, Den. Or just Al. Exclamation point 15 times. So before I ask you guys that question and we get into that, let's get into the WandaVision. And if you're watching on YouTube or you're listening to us on a podcast, this will be a spoiler section. There is no way to talk about a half-hour show without spoilers. We're going to tell you to watch it. It's amazing. So we don't even have to ask them. I already know. It's amazing. So we're going to get into spoilers. Come back to us. We're going to talk about it right now. WandaVision episode 4, MCU. Let's get right into that first 5 minutes where I watched the 5 minutes and I rewound it and watched it again. And then
I thought I was watching Endgame.
I watched those first 5 minutes 3 times before I watched the rest of the episode.
That first 5 minutes hit me the same way the first 5 minutes of Endgame. They did the same dirty shit where they kill someone's family right in front of you. That hurt. They pulled the Hawkeye on you.
Yeah, and you know what the best part is, and again, if you saw the episode, you know what we're talking about, is, we have Spider-Man Far From Home when the blip happened, where the people were coming back, the vanished, they call them, when they started coming back from being dusted off from, the Infinity War snap. And, it made it kind of funny. It was like, oh, the band's coming back in the middle of a basketball game and people are just, getting hit in the head. This was the weird, almost horror-like zombie effect of what it would look like if all these people started coming back that were at the hospital, let alone the streets, work, airports, airplanes. Al, when you saw all this stuff happening, man, what was your thoughts, man?
How crazy it was. And to your point, like, it would be weird. Like, one of the ones that stuck out of my head was as Monica Rambeau was running through the hall, she looks in one of the room and a guy reappears next to the bed that a woman was in, and she starts screaming. Like, so like, it just makes you like realize, like, what the hell, what would you do if somebody just reappeared in front of you because 5 years ago that's where they were?
Doctor.
Yeah. The doctor, the patient on the bed. Forget it. It just it like you said, in Spider-Man they made it comical. You had the tuba player getting run over by the basketball player. And they had a similar scene in this one where Monica runs into a guy in the hallway and lays him out. But they did it more in like how scary it would be if people just started randomly reappearing in front of your face.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, and it set the tone for not only for the show, but for the episode, especially this episode.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. WandaVision turned into a horror movie, people. So I mean, Brandon, as you're watching everybody materialize and people showing up, I think one of the parts that hit me the hardest out of that scene alone was she's trying to stop a doctor, and the doctor was like, I can't, I got to call my wife. So it's like either he thinks that his wife came back or either he just came back. And, one or the other. And I was just like, wow, this is just nuts, showing the materialization. And I think another part of it that really surprised me is the level of graphics or the VFX on the show. We're getting Marvel movie quality effects on this Disney Plus show. What about you? What you think of the blip there?
I thought, it set in, just like you guys were saying, it set the seriousness of what this could look like in other environments. And they put her in a hospital. I don't think a hospital would have been funny in the get-go. So to put her in the hospital, and then the context of the scene, she's looking for her mother, and you know who her mother is already. And now you're like, oh, like, she died in the hospital bed while she was in surgery. And they're like, no, she made out of surgery. Oh, she's okay. No, she came back, 3 years ago, cancer came back. Like 3 years, I've been gone, I've only been out of the room 5 minutes, like. It's that whole scene where, because the blip was instantaneous and the return was instantaneous, they didn't understand the sense of time that had passed. And like the way it hits you when she's talking to the doctor about her mother, and she was like, oh, she made a surgery. Oh, she's okay. No, she's not, because 3 years, 3 years ago. Oh, when was 3 years ago? I've been here. It's like, no, you've been gone for 5 years. And that whole hit there was like so emotional, because it hit her twice. The sense of urgency to be relieved, to only to be hit with grief again, like that was crazy.
Yeah, it's gotta suck, man. The one thing I kept thinking, well, which is so stupid, but I don't know why. I'm just, I'm mental sometimes when I think about certain things. But I was like, she got dusted off too, but yet all the original Avengers made it. I was like, what are the odds? Like,
What are the contractual odds?
the contractual odds. What in the holy written plans is that? It just so happened Iron Man, Captain America, yeah, the original squad all made it. They all didn't get snapped.
Yeah.
Not one, not even Hawkeye. Hawkeye made it, dude.
Yeah.
They were like, Kevin Feige's like, then what do you do with Vision? Snap his head. Makes it worth 50%. Gotta kill one.
Oh man. So yeah, man.
Kill him twice.
That was amazing there. And then we get our introduction right after that. We get our introduction to Sword, which is the sentient weapon observation. What's the R?
Research?
Research.
Sure.
Yeah, sounds
Go
good.
for it. Department.
Insert important words.
But we get our opening into Sword, and we finally see that side of it, because we always assumed that Sword was, where Director Fury is up in space. What is it, Al? What you get?
Oh, sentient weapon observation and response division.
Jesus, completely wrong on the last two.
Yeah.
They ain't trying to research, they're trying to respond.
Yeah. But we get that whole scene where she's going back to, apparently she's the captain, Mrs. Monica Rambeau there. She's a captain in the Sword division. Her mom, Maria Rambeau, was the director there, and apparently, as we all know, she passed away from her fight with cancer. And then we get this new acting director, which screamed bad guy.
Screamed from douchebag.
Dude, I'm watching this. I'm like, okay, he's gonna be a bad guy. Just like, I mean, the only like real trick is gonna be if he's not. So like, acting director, and he wasn't supposed to be it. Just screams bad guy. So. And he just looked like one too on top of that, so it just didn't help him. But he acknowledges that Monica Rambeau should have been the director or the next person in charge, or had a say in at least who the director was of this new Sword team here. And it just looked like a real interesting concept, because of course we had Shield, now we have Sword, and you hear what they're doing, and he sends her on this missing case FBI thing. So, and I'm like, okay, I didn't think Sword dealt with missing cases, but they worded it in a way that they needed, I guess, the equipment that they have to go into to do some observation, on this Westview phenomenon here. And we get one of my favorite characters for Ant-Man, which is Jimmy Woo, the FBI agent. And it's so cool to see them over there together talking and trying to figure out everything that's going on. But I think there's a lot going on that we don't even realize is this witness that he's looking for. They said it was a he. Am I right?
Yeah. I rewound it a couple times to make sure. Yeah.
And yet, when they're throughout the episode, they're trying to figure out who's who and stuff like that, and we never get the he that they're looking for. So I'm wondering if he is a bad guy, if he is a good guy, if he is Ralph, maybe.
Yeah, that's who I'm thinking it is. Only because you never see him in any of the episodes. He's not in any episode, like even from their view of WandaVision, he's not there. And just like Jimmy Woo was saying, nobody knows who this guy is. Nobody. So to me, I was wondering if the missing person turns out to be Ralph.
Right? Because it was like when he said it was a missing person, it just seemed like a little weird and like one of those things that we got to take note of kind of thing. So I just put it in the little mental Rolodex there, like be on the lookout for who this guy is, but it never comes about.
Yeah.
But it just seems really cool to have Jimmy Woo back in there, and he just fits right back in with Monica Rambeau and their whole situation of how they're working things. We also get Darcy coming back into the fold there, as you know, as the doctor now. She's no longer
Yeah.
just the student or the intern. She's a doctor now,
Mhm.
and we get this whole research take. And Brandon, what was your thoughts seeing Darcy, Jimmy Woo, Monica Rambeau, Sword, and everybody coming back into the fold to try to figure out what's going on there?
I thought it was a great way to really put them front and center. You get the nod. Remember Iron Man 2? You meet Nick Fury, right? And he talks about Shield. But you don't see Shield. You get Natasha Romanoff at a certain point in the movie. And you don't really get she's the Black Widow. You just kind of get a little bit of Shield. And then that leads to a little bit more of Shield in Captain America 2. And then all of a sudden there's a TV show, and now this is Shield. There's a whole expansion of getting to who Shield is and what they do, right? Here, you see the ship at the end of Far From Home, and you're like, oh, I think that's Sword. And then all of a sudden, the next thing, WandaVision's like, yeah, here's Sword. Here they are, right in your face. Here's how they started. Here's who started them. Here's how they work. It's just like, oh, okay. So it was really cool to have them just be put front and center and allow them to just kind of show you who they are and what they're going to be doing, because now I know who Sword is, and I know kind of in a sense how they deal with things.
Yeah, absolutely. And with this introduction to Sword, and you see them trying to figure out what's going on with Westview, we're getting little answers here and there. And one thing they didn't they kind of I guess hope that you caught on your own. There was this sound that was happening in episodes 2 and also 1 that it sounded like a boom sound that Vision and Wanda were trying to look to find out what was going on. They kind of answered it by saying it was a tree hitting the window, but it was a louder sound and it was like a booming sound. And in this episode, if you notice, when they were sending those little vehicles to go into the Westview, it was making that same sound. So that's what they were hearing. They were hearing those drones going inside of that whatever it's this energy field that's holding up everything. So it was kind of cool to hear that. And I was like, oh, that's from the second episode, those sounds that they were looking for. Then you see the beekeeper going into the tunnels there. And then I think one of the funniest things that I saw was Jimmy Woo's whiteboard. His whiteboard is everybody's whiteboard. What are the hexagons? Why sitcoms?
Is Vision dead? We all want to know.
Now,
when you saw that whiteboard out, were you reading off all those things on there?
Oh yeah, I paused it just to see what they had on there, reading it. But it's basically it's funny. I like how they're doing it. They're making Jim Woo, Darcy, and all of them us. So they have basically put us into the show, literally, because they are watching it as a show, literally on a TV, the same way we are, trying to
ask you all those questions,
analyze it, figure out who's who's real, who's that. And I found it interesting that everybody had not everybody was on the board. And then Agnes was on the board, but they didn't identify her with a driver's license. So
Dottie wasn't on the board.
Dottie wasn't on the board at all. So I found that interesting that she was the only one that they didn't have a license for. And one thing I found funny is it me, or does it seem like they're watching more episodes than we saw?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially that scene where they found Geraldine was Monica Rambeau's name on the show.
Yeah,
they see Monica Rambeau sitting down, and I don't remember seeing that. So it does seem like they're getting episodes that we're not, lucky bastards. So yeah, man. But it does seem, pretty cool there. Just watching them figure out, and it's like you just said, Al, it's us watching the show, but as them, and they have the same questions we have. That's one of my questions is what the hell's going on with all those hexagons? And then you see also the force field that's around that area of Westview is in the shape of a hexagon as well. So you got all these things going on there, man. And then Bree, just tell me your thoughts on what you saw, because I think after that, they even explained the way how Jimmy Woo was speaking to Wanda through the radios there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you saw also we get to the scene where we last left off on episode 3 of WandaVision, which is Monica Rambeau getting ejected out of the damn the
Yeah.
TV show or whatever they're in the Westview thing there. So what was your thoughts on seeing the more story there of what happened to Monica Rambeau and Wanda and Wanda?
It was dark to see. It was interesting because we talked about this last week. Is Wanda the villain? Is she the antagonist of this? Is someone pulling the strings and Wanda is either unconsciously, subconsciously, taking control of this? Is her power just manifesting? And now you're starting to build that question even more because now the ending of the show said Monica's, Wanda's in control. She's in full control of everything. She's doing all of it. So now it's like, okay, is Wanda doing everything? Like I saw her do it. I can't take back what she saw. I can't take back what she's doing. So now, like you're trying to. It's funny because you're watching this in two perspectives as the viewer and as the viewer because they already have a viewer in the show as Jimmy Woo. So now we're like the secondary viewer and we're like, oh shit, like like you don't want an Avenger to be the villain, like you don't want that to happen. So It's like, oh, like where are they going? Like, is Wanda doing this? Why is she doing this? Like, it just starts you put you down just like a rabbit hole trying to ask all these questions. And then like you start thinking in your head with Jimmy Woo putting all these questions on the board, you start trying to think about more Marvel lore now. You're like, oh, hexagons. Why would he bring up hexagons? Oh, is hexagons a relation to AIM? We haven't seen AIM since Iron Man 3. Like how are all these things are connecting now? Is Vision dead? From what I saw a second ago, I don't know how to answer that question either. Like,
Yeah.
So and then with all the Hydra-based commercials, Hydra and Zemo were kind of one of the founders of AIM in a sense. So is this where they're going because Falcon and the Winter Soldier is the next show and Zemo's in it? Is this the tie-in that we're looking for now that they're not tying directly into Doctor Strange 2? Like there's so many questions we're getting from here now.
Right. Yeah. How about you, man? Al, what did you think when you saw everything happening with Wanda and Monica Rambeau, and then even after that, Wanda's conversation with Vision there,
Yeah, watching that, it reassured, not reassured, it reinforced one of the theories I had, which was that Wanda was in control of everything. She's the one manipulating everything, creating this reality. Now, I don't think she's doing it on her own. I think she's being tricked mentally somehow into doing this. She may have had motivation because I think that it made me also change my answer to one of my theories, which was last week when we were talking about her. What was he trying to say when he was talking to Vision? He was saying that Geraldine was there because they're all. I now think he was going to say that they're all dead.
Too morbid.
Yeah. So because like you saw when Wanda wasn't paying attention and Vision was able to come in on his own and catch her off guard because she was distracted because of everything that had just happened with Geraldine. If you look, he's blurry in the background, but he's the same way he is when she turns around. So to me, I think she's making him appear to be a live Vision, but what's actually walking around is his body. And I don't think he's really there. And I think it's the same. Dark. And I think it's going to be the same with all these people. I think they're not really going to be there. And is Westview a cemetery or, not a town, but a cemetery? Maybe that's why it's in the shape that it's in because, maybe the town, it was shaped around the space in the town that it fit. Because remember, the cops from Eastview said there is no Westview.
Right.
So
and they didn't even acknowledge the sign that was right behind them.
She looked at it. She was like, "So what you're saying is there's no Westview?"
Yeah, but with the cops, from the show though, because he kept, this is supposed to be now 2023, right? And he kept calling him Wu a G-man. Like
Yeah.
you haven't heard a G-man as a reference from like years. Like that's an old term. So I'm wondering if the cops themselves are being controlled by Wanda and she's using
Yes.
terms that she knew. And as far as why sitcoms, I think that's what she grew up on. Remember, she's from Sokovia. And if you looked at Sokovia, it was, a little bit, behind in terms of technology and times. So I wouldn't be surprised if what they were airing there on the TVs that they had available to them were
Right.
older programming, like 80s, 60s, 50s, 70s TV shows.
The reruns. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I was actually
Yeah.
trying to pay attention to the space between the officers and Jimmy Woo, because
Mhm.
it kind of seemed like the space between all of them was where the force field landed. So it seemed like they met at where the force field started, So it seemed like they were behind the force field and he was talking to them through the force field in a
Yeah.
sense. It kind of seemed like that way in terms of the space they had, which would make sense with Al. Like they may be part of the show because they don't even know they're in Westview.
No, you know what I think it was, because they were saying, like, even Monica and Jimmy were like, if no one else knows that it's there and no one else is acknowledging the people who live there, why are they the ones to see it and know that it's there? And it's because if they know someone, or if they have a relationship or something with that person in the town, that's why it's affecting them as well. So anyone who knows the people that are in there are also affected by whatever's happening, either this magic or this, universe or whatever the hell it is that's happening. That's what's going on with them. So I think the police officers were kind of like blind to it because they know the town, they know the people in the town also. So that might be what's happening.
Wanda said no more Westview. That's what she said.
Yeah,
She ruined it.
But I'll turn the MCU into Blumhouse all of a sudden, man. That's dark.
That was what I took.
On this one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if that's the one thing I kind of agree with. Not complete. I don't think that the people are all dead. I think that all the people are being manipulated because they all act scared and they all act like, they know something's up, but they can't tell. They're playing their role as they're told to. Even at some point, Monica was doing the same thing too, until every once in a while something would take her out of character. You know what I mean? But I do think, and I wonder if the neighbors are seeing Vision the way we just saw Vision, completely dead and with the hole in the head and all that stuff like that. That would be some sick shit right there if that's what's happening. If she's like making a move like a puppeteer almost, and he's dead and she's doing the stuff, that'd be weird. Knowing that it's Disney and the MCU, I'm sure they're not doing that. I'm sure she's just making everyone see what she wants to see, and that's what's happening. But just the thought that we saw that, I can't get that image out of my mind. I can't get the image.
I honestly wouldn't put it past them.
Yeah.
To be honest, they have now showed us 2 suicides. I wouldn't put it past them. They showed us Gamora and Black Widow all in the same pose on the floor. So I wouldn't put it past them at this point.
I know, it's pretty crazy, man. But what about you guys? What's your thoughts on there being still another outside character, or are you with this whole thing that Wanda is in complete control? Because she looks at Vision, and Vision says, "Hey, what's the matter? We can get out of here if you want." She goes, "No, we can't.
Yeah,
this is our home. I'm in complete control." And I was like, "Whoa."
But that was the line that made me think she controls this, but she's not the one that's ultimately in control. Because if she's the one who's manifesting all of that by herself with no influence or instruction, then why can't they leave? She should be able to then do that anywhere. So that's what makes me feel like, yes, she's the one who's controlling how everything is manifesting, but somebody else is kind of, so to speak, pulling the strings, whether they're the ones putting it in her head, making her think to do this, and coaching and guiding her, maybe subconsciously, telepathically.
Right.
But it's her power doing it and her desire to have a life with Vision that they're using to coax her into doing all this stuff. Mm-hmm. But I still think there's going to be an ultimate bad once everything's said and done.
Yeah. How about you, B? Are you convinced that Wanda is being made to do this, or do you think we finally getting Wanda that's just bad Wanda?
I think that's the illusion that they're trying to create, that Wanda's in control, Wanda's doing this, and I feel like Wanda thinks she's also doing this.
Uh-huh.
But there's too many unknowns currently. Like, who's broadcasting this? You know, what
Mhm.
I forget the name of the black-haired lady. The one person that we haven't seen a name tag for in a driver's license.
Oh,
Agnes.
Catherine Tonka Agnes.
Yeah. So we haven't seen their picture, their license, their nothing, So what's the mystery behind this person? Are they someone who's been abducted from somewhere else and not from Eastview, Westview, whatever? Like what's their importance? Because they've been shown in the last couple of episodes to be kind of complacent and kind of like, I'm a part of this too. But now they're trying to show us, and even like the trailers, now they're giving us trailers of the week, kind of episodic trailers, that she may be more than meets the eye. She ain't a transformer, but like there's more to her, and it's like, well, they kind of made it seem like she wasn't important, but maybe she is, and we've always kind of felt that way before the show started.
Mhm.
So now it's, what's her importance? What is she to this show?
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, man. And that's why I'm looking forward to this next episode here coming up on Friday, episode 5. And there's rumors that episode 5 and 6 are going to be dropping this week, but we'll see if that
Oh
actually
wow.
happens. Yeah, because they're worried about all these, like, these leaks and stuff. So they're going to put out 5 and 6 together at one shot to try to, hopefully people don't find out these leaks and it becomes a bigger thing than what it needs to be.
Yeah.
But with these next episodes coming up, I wanted to know what you guys thought as far as, like, now that we've seen pretty much, like I was saying, our side of looking at this, like, what the hell is going on. There was a part of me that missed the sitcoms a little bit, which is weird because the sitcoms were just like this, like, thing that just was weird and wasn't supposed to be real. But I got used to the little sitcom thing and seeing what happens and looking for the weird thing that happens in the episode. Now that we got it felt like a real MCU movie for a half hour. You know what I mean? Like, it was the MCU right there. I'm wondering, excuse me, I'm wondering if we're going to get back to now the sitcoms for the next 2 episodes and then go back to that, or if we're going to be going back and forth. I think personally, because now that we see the sword side of things, that we get a little bit of both, but that's going to be kind of hard for a half hour to get 15 minutes of the outside world and 15 minutes of the inside world. What's your guys' thoughts on that part of it? Like, what are you hoping to see as far as the next couple of episodes or the next episode coming up on Friday?
I feel like, with this being episodic, we have a limited run here. We're told that this is going to be 8 episodes, 9 episodes in total, and they're now delivering them at a faster pace. I heard the same thing about episode 5 and 6. To try and beat the leak, they're going to air them together. So now we've lost another week of this show in a sense. So I feel like the way they wrote this show is to be on the faster side of things. I feel like the outside world, even though we're only getting 15 minutes of sword here, it's going to be more them figuring things out faster and trying to relate it to what's happening inside. And I think
Hmm.
we're mostly invested on what's happening on the inside. We want to know what's going on with Wanda because we're only really 4 episodes away from the conclusion of this.
Right.
So, it's going to have to move quick. And I hope it's at a good pace where we're not kind of like, oh, damn, we're here now, like it's moving too fast. They've been really good with pacing. Even the pregnancy lasted less than 10 minutes. So I'm sure in the next couple episodes we'll have full grown kids. We'll have the WandaVision kids soon. So I think that we're heading towards the end of this thing. So it's gotta pick up in some way and get to, I guess, almost to say the actiony part of this.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
How about you, Al?
Well, I think there's at least one more episode where they're gonna do sitcom, because weren't there like previews showing like, I guess, an 80s or a 90s version where it
Definitely
looked like
yeah.
it looked like Full House or All in the Family or
Growing
something like,
Pains
yeah, Growing Pains or something like that, because like
or
you had
Family
Catherine
Ties.
Hahn, yeah, you had Catherine Hahn in like a jumper or a bodysuit or something like that.
Yeah.
with the fluffy hair. So definitely probably the 80s at least is coming up. So we definitely at the minimum, I think, have like one more episode where they're acting out an episode, a sitcom. Um, how they're going to do it that makes sense, they'll find a way, because so far they haven't let us down in how they play out their story. But I just hope it's not bouncing back and forth, because I think that'll be too all over the place. Maybe show us the whole sitcom and then end it with Sword analyzing it, and what does that mean? Kind of like, again, acting us out. What the hell just happened? What was that? Who was it? So I would like that way, but I'm sure they're going to still impress us however they do it.
Yeah, man. I mean, we're like I said, we're all looking forward to it, and we're hoping for the best, because this is pretty much the only thing we have as far as movies and TV going, because everything seems like kind of dull. Besides
No.
your normal Netflix TV shows that you binge watch and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
this is pretty much the most exciting thing that's happening right now as far as movies and television goes. So, we'll keep talking about it. When episode 5 drops on Friday, we'll come back and we'll talk about that and come up with some new thoughts and ideas and theories on what's happening in the show there. So, I mean, listen, this week we're just going to talk about the WandaVision episode 4 there. And the last question I wanted to ask you guys again is, when I saw this episode, the first thing I did was I contacted the both of you guys. I texted Al at lunch, like, bro, I'm about to do the lunch thing, And then when it finished, I texted Brandon. I was like, oh my God, this is crazy, and I realized that there's things that I like, and then there's things that make me like the fan that I am when it comes to movies and certain things like this. Like, I remember watching the first few episodes of WandaVision, and I didn't text you guys. I was just like, oh, it's cool, or when I spoke to you guys, I was like, it's all that. But I also remember certain things like, the last episode of The Mandalorian. I watched it and I completely lost my mind, and I called both you guys. I didn't even bother texting. So, there's certain things that I do when I see something that's crazy or something that's good. Like even for the rest of the WandaVision, I have watched them repeatedly, but not instantly. So for instance, I watched episode 1 of WandaVision that Friday night. Sunday, I think I watched it again, and maybe during the week I watched another time. This one, I watched it maybe like 5 or 6 times already this episode, and it's almost as if the movies, like, I remember with I remember seeing the Winter Soldier, Captain America: The Winter Soldier. I left the theater. I came home. I told my wife, I'm seeing this movie again tomorrow. Like, I immediately knew I had to see the movie again one more time. And then I think I saw the third time as well. And then The Dark Knight, the first time we saw that Batman with The Dark Knight there, I saw that movie in the theaters like 5, 6 times. So I wanted to know if there's something that when you're watching it that happens, or that you do, that when you know that it's good. Like, I text you guys immediately, so you guys know when I'm thinking. Right, as soon as you see the text messages, you guys know I think it's awful. It's crazy. So, Al, is there something that happens to you, or something that you do? Do you like pause it and go walk off somewhere? What do you do when you're seeing something that you really like, or something that's hidden?
I don't know if it's that I do, but I know it's, with me, it's more of if there's a desire to watch it again. I mean, as crazy and simple as that sounds, is a lot of times if I watch a movie, even if it's a good movie, I'll watch it, I'll finish it, and then I'll be like, okay, that's a good one, and I can move on, and there's no strong desire to watch it again. But when I watch a real good movie, or something that like just energized me for whatever reason, like, I'll immediately want to watch it again. Like Mandalorian, that last episode, watching that, I think I watched it twice that same night. I watched it again, I think, the following day, and I think I've watched it 3 or 4 times since. Like,
yeah.
And I think, and I've played just that specific scene at the end, I don't know how many times. So like, it's
Right.
when there's a movie or show or something that, or even an episode that it hits you so much. For me, it's just that desire to watch it again. Some people can watch a movie, and not wanting to wait. Like, no, I got to watch this again right now.
Yeah, that's the sign right there. Now, how about you, Brent? Is there anything that happens to you, something that you do, or is it just the mere fact that you want to watch it again is the thing?
2 things. If it's a moment based thing, I usually leave with a oh shit. Like, I get a little crazy about it. And then Dawn, my fiance, knows when I leave with an oh shit, she goes with oh fuck, something crazy happened. Right? And she won't even be in the same room as me. She'll hear me go, oh shit, from the other room. She'll be like, oh fuck. So usually it's just us cursing in the house is basically how that works. She knows I'm excited when I drop an oh shit. So that's one. And then if it's like, I'll tell you this. I'll tell you the scene that I can replay over and over again is I don't need to watch Endgame. All right? I don't need to see it. I don't need to relive that feeling again. But what I can do nonstop is I can literally just fast forward to On Your Left, and I'll start crying every time. That's all I need. All I need is this On Your Left, and I'm just like bawling like a baby every
Oh
time.
my God. That's amazing, man. That's amazing. I appreciate you guys always willing to share your little inside takes and personal takes, man. Yeah, man, listen, that's going to be our podcast for today. You know, guys, unfortunately, there's not a lot of movies and a lot of movie news, but I think next week we'll get a review in for The Little Things starring Denzel Washington, Rami Malek, and also Jared Leto. So we'll let you guys know what we think about that. And of course, as you know, we're going to talk about that WandaVision episode 5. And if they give us episode 6, yeah, that might be a super duper long podcast. So, so as always, guys, we thank you for listening, for watching on YouTube, or if you're listening on your podcast app, you know, hit the subscribe or that plus symbol to make sure that we keep coming up for you guys every week when we do put out a new podcast or a new video there. So coming in from New York, we want to thank you. And coming from Long Island, we got my brother B.
Sayonara.
We got our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
Myself, Hob, saying thank you as always. And we'll catch you on the next episode. Until next time.